What is up? What is up? What is up? The first game of week 1 is in the books. Let's do this. All right, guys. Some would say the roar has been restored. Roar. Let's try that again. Roar. Work in progress by me. But the Lions have dethroned the Chiefs. God. Some would say there were people out there sounding the alarms for the Lions. I think if you followed the Lions offseason moves, which I think is a big edge in fantasy football, paying attention to offseason moves of football teams, you would know that last year the Lions had a very terrible secondary. And they went out and they signed a bunch of people. They drafted guys for their secondary. They spent almost their whole draft class on defense, to my memory, other than the Gibbs pick. So they used the Gibbs pick to get more explosive on offense. They invested in their defense after spending last year's draft class all on offense. That's how you build teams, man. That's how you build teams. I still think the Lions maybe will regret not taking a shot at an elite quarterback, a top-end quarterback. But, Dan Campbell, probably very loyal to Jared Goff. He kind of seems like that kind of guy. Not re-signing Jamal Williams was probably one of the hardest things he did in his life. He's those are his brothers, And so, we're going to spend this morning recapping last night's streams. We'll take a look at my exposures to the Lions and Chiefs on Underdog, because why not? A couple of tweets of mine I wanted to read out. One we'll start with is I started the day or the night last night with a "Did you know ball this year" tweet, which was just me with almost 0% Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney. And to be clear, this was a joke. This is both to rile up the people who have a lot of Sky and Toney, which, I play the heel sometimes. You got to play the heel sometimes. I noticed on a Soulcast stream the other day, I noticed Dave saying something like, "Oh, Liam's going to victory lap, whatever." We're in their heads. I still think Sky and Toney could be fine, to be clear. But, man, last night's game, woof, that literally maybe the worst game we've seen two players play. So I tweeted this out as a joke and because it's fun, and this morning I tweeted out, and I really do believe this, that those who won't victory lap equal concerned with looking cool on the internet. Fantasy football is fun. Have fun with it. It's okay to celebrate your right takes. We're probably all losing anyways. And I really do believe this, that there's a lot of people out there who are way more concerned with looking cool on the internet. They're like, "Oh, you can't victory lap. You can't victory lap." And it's because it's not cool to their in crowd. And I can tell you one thing about me. I don't give a fuck about looking cool. I've worn Crocs since I was 12 years old. Those are not cool. I mean, they're more in now, but yeah, we're clearly not, my haircut's ass, we're not trying to look cool out here. We're trying to have fun. We're more of a comfort man. I dress for comfort, not to look cool, to my girlfriend's disgust. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Some people are in here. I also put a tweet out a little bit more seriously. I mean, go on my Twitter at ChessLiam and watch this video if you haven't. I don't know how to play audio on StreamYard, but this guy put together a Kadarius Toney highlight. This thing makes me laugh so hard. And it's hype music to him just dropping every ball. Some are saying Pat and Davis, who I debuted the Lions could be a dynasty take, and I was laughed at by them, mocked, some would say. Some would say that they owe me an apology for that. The Chiefs, man, it might not get easier for them out of the gate here. Their schedule, Jags could be anyone in the league, period. Bears, I'm going to give that one to the Chiefs. But, I mean, I don't know. Like, could the Bears dominate possession on the ground if they don't have Chris Jones back? Maybe. Jets can beat anyone in the league, period. Vikings can beat anyone in the league, period. So, those aren't gimme games. And here's a real thread I put together of some fantasy takes. You got to be balanced out there. We have some jokes. We have some real takes. You got to take it for what it is. So, Montgomery, going to get a lot of usage, didn't look that great, in my opinion. He played a lot of snaps, got a touchdown. I thought they played him too much. They almost lost the game because of it. Remember, the Lions, cowardly punted the ball on their opponent's, 40-yard line. That was awful, in my opinion. Even though the Lions D looks much better, and I didn't. And the Chiefs offense was struggling. I did not like that punt by the Lions on their opponent's 40-yard line. We saw the Chiefs go for it on a 4th and 25, and honestly, Mahomes hit 3 20-yard passes with his wide receivers in the hands, and they just dropped all of them. So I think that was fine. I thought they were going to punt, but good for them. Gibbs, I said you could look at this two ways with Gibbs. Not great. The Lions looked terrified for him to be hit because they barely played him. But he looked absolutely electric with the ball. Would imagine his workload grows as the season goes on, and his lack of usage in week 1 might just show how important the Lions know he is for their offense this season. Tony, I'm less concerned for Tony compared to Sky, who was awful, because you can excuse some things with him being injured. We know he's at least good when healthy. Now, health is always a question with him. And I don't think dropping literally every pass thrown to him will stick with him in the future. How he handles this emotionally is a question, though. Tony has a history of going back and forth with fans on Twitter. That's already showing emotional questionability there. And so I'm not sure. I think Tony can bounce back and be a fine fantasy player. He would have had a great stat line if he caught the balls thrown to him. When Travis Kelce returns, that probably helps the offense. If he returns, I don't know when he returns. Yeah, Tony deleted his Twitter. That's probably for the best, man. We don't need him beefing with people. We don't want to see anyone's mental health tank, but he was brutal. I tend to a lot of casual fans, I think, really want to punish players for dropping passes. I'm a little bit more forgiving with drops because it's not the most sticky stat in the world. I think you can bounce back from drops. Getting open is more of a skill to me than holding onto the ball. Sky. Sky might just legit be bad. He'll get some more opportunities to prove himself, and maybe will be better when Kelce demands defensive attention. But I already questioned his talent and didn't come away impressed. He also dropped one, which these Chris Collinsworth just is trying to give every excuse for Mahomes he can in the book. He deserves some excuses, but you could just kind of tell that. And yeah, Sky played a lot of snaps, was not good. Again, he'll have some fine stat lines when Kelce's back, but he might lose some snaps to Rice. And I don't know how you don't start playing Ross, James and Ross over him. And so we'll see with Sky, but was pretty bad. MVS had a really impressive catch, played well. His role is what it is. MVS, basically, is he going to catch a long touchdown or not? That's what his game is. Rice might emerge as the top Chiefs wide receiver by year's end, played decently well. I drafted a lot more Rice than Sky and Tony. Tony, I don't have talent concerns with. It's more his head plus health. and like I typically am forgiving with injuries, but Tony seems a little different. Rice, where it's like, yeah, Rice might be bad, but oftentimes I want the mystery box versus what's been like proved to me with Sky. Watson, mostly win sprints, but if Chiefs take drastic action and bench Tony and Moore for a game, I don't really think that's the Chiefs style, by the way. He could run more sprints. Laporta, very impressive start for the rookie. Didn't block much on 2 tight end sets, but looked as advertised. I think he'll have a big role. Chiefs running backs. We'll see how Pacheco ramps up after being injured in offseason. None seems startable at the moment and managed. Pacheco should get some red zone touchdowns. He'll stop at the 1. The narrative from some has been Chiefs will save McKinnon for later in season. I was always skeptical of that because I'm not sure if they can afford to. They legit might have to play McKinnon to make the playoffs. James and Ross didn't play too much to my memory. That could change quick. Ross got 6 snaps. James got 20. It's not impossible. James has been good in the NFL, man. Not impossible he overtakes Sky in the slot. And yeah, Ross, I don't know why they played Ross so little, if it's because they don't think he's that good or his snaps did come in the red zone. So on Underdog, seems like he might be a fine pick as an 18th round guy where, okay, he's getting some goal line fades and he needed some touchdowns. That's what I wanted to say about that. Let's look at some of the comments here. Nathan saying, I believe Dan Campbell when he said he was easing Gibbs in. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's I also came away from the Lions game even more bullish on Jameson Williams. I thought Josh Reynolds and especially Marvin Jones were not good. I think Marvin Jones fumbled in the red zone, almost costing the Lions the game. Reynolds looked okay on some stuff, but brutal at other times. I came away really bullish on how good Jameson Williams is going to be because I already think Jameson Williams is talented and those other 2 dudes are not great. People taking themselves far too seriously. Yeah. Tony did get 50% target per route run. Will probably go down after last night. Yeah, I think Tony is take what you want to see. He had literally maybe the worst game of a player we've seen in a long time. But again, I don't think he's going to drop every single pass. Yeah, no, I don't think the Chiefs I didn't say this shit out loud because it riles people up, but I did put out a tweet being how good will Mahomes be without Kelsey? Because everyone was like, oh, look, see, Mahomes without Tyreek, look how good he is. And Mahomes was great last night, right? He hit his wide receivers in the hands, but when you have the best tight end in NFL history, maybe that, maybe Gronk, maybe him, maybe Antonio Gates or whoever. I think that, especially elite tight end helps a lot, man, because they're just unguardable. But yeah, Chiefs schedule not the easiest in the world. Jags, they could lose that. Bears, they probably win, but you never know if Justin Fields just goes nuke. Jets, they could lose. Vikings, they could lose. Broncos, I see them winning. Chargers, I would think the Chargers are favorites. Broncos, I don't respect the Broncos. Dolphins, they could lose. Eagles, they could lose. Raiders, I think they win. Packers, they probably win, but this Packers team, I don't know. It could be better than we think. Bills, they could lose. Pats, they probably win. Raiders, they probably win. Bengals, they could lose. Chargers, they could lose. So a pretty tough schedule for a lot of good teams in the NFL. The Bills have a tough schedule too, Let's look at my exposure here. Yeah, I see someone commenting about the FFPC. I just want to say, guys, I like the FFPC site. I do not want to see the FFPC site go away at all. That was not my intention at all. And yeah, I don't think Alex came off the best in that. I don't think I came off the best in that. Again, I had a stomach bug. I thought it was food poisoning, but it carried with me a couple of days, so probably stomach bug. So I wasn't 100%. I was upset about the decision. I thought he was being obtuse. But I do think it's probably the right rule for this year to follow his rules in place. I just think he should be visiting the rules for next year. And he should remove himself from having power over the best ball tournament and just let it stand as is. But I like the FFPC. I like that they have the playoff contest is really fun. I think, and I think more sites existing is good for us as consumers, right? We do not want DraftKings to have a monopoly on all of fantasy football, or Underdog, which I love. We don't want Underdog to have a monopoly on all of fantasy football. So I saw a lot of people saying, or not a lot, I saw some people saying they're not going to play on the FFPC after that. Cool down on that, is my suggestion. I'm not for sure sworn off their site at all. I'll say that. All right. Let's look at my teams here as I learn how to drive this. Not doing a great job. Wanted to say Tuesday nights. I'm in the process of finalizing my in-season schedule here, but what I can tell you for sure is Tuesday nights, I am going to have a Best Ball Mania 4 show, essentially. It's going to be looking at the leaderboard for that week. We'll look at my highest scoring teams. I'll have a rotating guest on each week. We'll look at their highest scoring teams. We'll look at the teams on the leaderboard. If it's someone we know in the community after a couple of weeks, I'm not going to do it week one. We'll have some other guests on too. So look forward to that. All right, here we go. Let's check out my exposure in Best Ball Mania 4. So the cool thing about this is you can type in a team name and see. So the Chiefs, you can see for me, this game could not have gone better for my exposures, which it's not the most comfortable thing in the world fading a lot of the Chiefs players. And I don't even know how to feel about Kelsey being hurt for week one. It's like I didn't draft a lot of Kelsey, but I also didn't draft a ton of other Chiefs in general. So like if Tony and Sky have huge games because of that, because Kelsey being out, like that's not great for me either. I ended up with actually 0 Pacheco in Best Ball Mania 4. I did draft Pacheco and some of the other things, but I got 12% MVS, 10% McKinnon, 8% Rashee Rice. And honestly, those are the 3 Chiefs I want. I did draft some Justin Watson in some 20-round stuff. I think he was draftable in BBM4. He probably was drafted very little. Justin Ross, I got 3%. Richie James, 2%. Kadarius Toney, 2%. Who I warmed to at the end. Kelsey, 1%. Deneric Prince, half a percent. CH, 0.5%. Sky Moore, 0.5%. And Patrick Mahomes, 0.5%. So yeah, I was pretty on the wavelength that like Sky Moore not good at football. And that looks good after week one. I also faded Toney. Those look great after week one. I don't think I'm out of the water there. And again, guys, like with a fade, like I don't know if Toney has a 50 burger week 17, it's like, all right, well, he was fine, So what's good in playoff best ball sites is hard to say. But yeah, Paul's saying if you can figure out who are the good Chiefs wide receivers, you're a legend in fantasy football. Some would say I kind of did that. But yeah, I think MVS will. I think Rice has the best chance to overtake as wide receiver 1. I think when Kelsey plays and demands defensive attention, MVS could start having some really good games with like them having to stop the middle of the field and MVS being wide open. And like MVS came up with like a grown man catch last night. So, but what I think is potentially here for the Chiefs is that all of the guys are going to play. And so, yeah, they'll all have some weeks, but their weekly ceilings are kind of capped if they're going to play a rotation of 7 dudes. And from a season-long perspective, that's pretty terrible. In best ball, it's not like a killer, but like, yeah, these are not guys to like depend on week in, week out. Let's look at my Lions. Laporta, 18%. Feel pretty good about that. I do think Laporta probably going to be better in PPR than half-point PPR. When Jameson Williams returns, opens up the middle of the field a little bit more. To be a rookie week 1 to get the usage he did, feel good about. And he put up a fine game for half-point PPR. His stat line was 5 catches, 39 yards in a game where they didn't really need to throw towards the end. Like, you could tell Dan Campbell was like, we're going to pound this rock and just get out of here with a W. But yeah, in a more shootout game, which, I mean, again, their defense is better. So how much of that they have this year, he'll have some more usage. Jameson Williams, I got 16%. I feel great about that. Amon-Ra, 15%. Obviously feel great about that. Goff, 13%. Feel good about that. I still like Goff and the Lions. Gibbs, 12%. Montgomery, 9%. Feel like I got a little bit more Montgomery in high stakes. Surprised I'm that high on Gibbs. A lot of my Gibbs was in the 50s and whatnot. But, yeah, I feel good about the Lions exposures. Yeah, best Chiefs receiver this year will probably be Mike Evans. The guys I could see being traded to the Chiefs, unless some random team does it, is Rondale Moore, who I'm worried about because I didn't draft a lot of. Hollywood Brown, which I think is unlikely just because he just got traded. Mike Evans. And so Richie James evaluation. I think Richie James is pretty decent at football and is more trustworthy than Sky and whatnot. So not impossible we see him ramped up. Both teams from last night could use Mike Evans. I don't know, Jared. I think the Lions, Jameson Williams, might be very good. And let's see if they can, Seahawks, that's a fun game, honestly. Going to be a tough game, but winnable. Falcons, winnable. Packers, winnable. Panthers, very winnable. Bucks, very winnable. And then, these are the games that James Williams is missing. And 3 of the games, the Lions are probably very heavy favorites for. Packers, Panthers, Bucks, maybe even the Falcons. So I think they can keep afloat just waiting for Jameson to return. Matador Mike, thanks for the super chat, man. Appreciate you a lot. A lot of best ball players correlate team stacks for week 17. Why not try for weeks 14 through 17? Dallas, Minnesota, Detroit, Cincinnati, Chargers, weeks 14 through 17. I tried a few like this, grabbing players that correlated for all playoffs. Thanks for the super chat, Mike, and the question. Yeah, Mike, my first year playing best ball, this is something I did more of. I focused more on who players played weeks 14 or weeks 15, 16, and 17 and kind of equally weighted it. In future years, I did not do that as much. My thoughts are it's much easier to advance the quarterfinals and the semifinals where in BBM4, it's 1 out of 16, 1 out of 16, than it is to win the finals, 1 out of 441. And so I now put all my focus into week 17 pretty much. I'm going to, frankly, just get lucky sometimes in the quarterfinals and the semifinals, both with who I have to play and by accidentally doing things like this. And again, I would rather get in a lucky playoff pod with other teams that suck and just by pure chance advance and then have a team that's set to smash week 17. So I'm not willing to give up any points at all for week 17 in the idea of advancing to the finals. But yeah, I think you can do stuff like this tastefully, Mike. I just kind of have a keep it simple process. I think something like this is more important for the FFPC where you want to do a shootout and whatnot. So yeah. Sorry, John. He said, really liked your videos, but as a Pats fan, it hurts me every time you dump on my team. Just hope we can win one against the Bills. John, I got to balance it, man. The mainstream media is jerking the Pats off. I'm keeping it real over here. It's what I think, I can be wrong. I'm allowed to be wrong. I am wrong often, you know? It's the beauty of the NFL. We're wrong often. I forget what I was going to look at next. I think I'm going to jump into a Dawg Bowl. Yeah, I think this is insane. The line for I think the Pats are only 3.5-point dogs against the Eagles, which I don't understand at all. And maybe I'm really not understanding how much better this Pats team can be, or maybe there's a lot of public money coming in on the Pats. They're kind of like a big media team that's keeping that line close. Did I do any weekly winners drafts? Yes, I did. I ended up doing 15. I did 12. I did 12 with 10 minutes to go until the contest locked. So something Underdog needs to fix is you can no longer see the named teams. And I did some of these with people, so I need to name them. My top team at the moment is a Jared Goff, Jordan Love one. So kind of need Goff to go off to win this one. Chuba Hubbard, Raheem Mostert, DeAndre Swift, J.K. Dobbins, Tony Pollard, Deebo Samuel, Mike Williams, Christian Kirk, Jordan Addison, Traylon Burks, Rashid Shaheed, Amon-Ra, St. Brown. So Amon-Ra's performance could definitely win me weekly winners. And then Laporta, McBride, Dawson Knox, Musgrave. So we'll take a look at those next week. Looking at my BBM4 teams, just, a look ahead of that Tuesday night show. My highest scoring team, which in the app, it shows you the points of your team, but in this one, it does not. I don't know. I'm advancing a bunch of teams right now because I have a lot of Goff and Amon-Ra, which obviously is meaningless. My last team is one of my higher scoring teams because it has Amon-Ra. It's got Rashee Rice, who I got scared of Rashee Rice towards the end. It just seemed like he was not going to play a ton of snaps, which he didn't. But yeah, now I'm not scared about him at all. Had Gibbs and McKinnon, who, meh. I mean, 7 points from Gibbs is not a death blow. It's not third round payoff, but he seems like he has a huge weekly ceiling. All right, let's jump into some Dawg Bowls here. Oh, nice. Got in this one just as it filled. These, if you haven't done any, are 12-man drafts. They're live qualifiers. It is 40% filled, so I don't know if it will overlay at all for week one. We'll see, though, future weeks, And it is, I don't know, it is Friday, so it's at 5K entrance and needs 13K. Let's say optimistically it gets 1,000 today. That's at 6K. I don't think it will get that much. Let's give it another 1,000 on Saturday. Maybe it could be more on Saturday. That's 7,000. That would mean it would need 5,000 on Sunday before kickoff. And so I don't know. Maybe it will overlay week one. I could also see the numbers Friday being closer to 500 and bigger numbers on the weekend. But yeah, I think watching this for overlay each week will be important. I kind of want to crank out a bunch of these for week one. How does this one work? Talked about it before on stream, but for you, Tolan, pull it up here. It's essentially a winners take all contest. If you don't finish first, second, or third in a given week, it's the same thing as losing. So let me make my picks real quick. It's hard to say, like, should I go elite quarterback? Should I go elite running back? Which, like, to me, that's Bijan. We're going to go Bijan this time. Okay, so it's like Battle Royale on their site, which their week 1 Battle Royale is kind of small, 20K to first. I expect that to be bigger week 2 without best ball in the lobby. It's a weekly competition. It's their Battle Royales where basically it's a qualifier. So for 12 weeks, the top 3 finishers in their Dawg Bowl will win a ticket to Miami. If you make it to Miami, there'll be 36 teams. First gets 200K. You get 10K minimum if you qualify. And so, yeah, that's basically it. And you need to finish first or third. First, second, or third. Finishing fourth or worse is worthless. So finding ways to get unique either by taking a guy not drafted a lot or getting a unique combo throughout the draft is important in my opinion. DK has week 2 best ball contest. You don't get 10K when you win, though. Yeah, actually, you do, Nicholas. If you read the rules, which I recommend you do for any site you play and any contest, they deposit 10K into your account immediately. And then if you finish in Miami last, you don't get any additional money. You just get the trip to Miami. I believe if you read the rules, I'm not going to do that right now. It says they give you like $1,000 in travel credit too. So, yeah. I mean, the rake is a little bit higher on this contest. Some people have complained about that. I would counter that they're trying to do something innovative here. And obviously, a contest that has this requires a lot of logistical planning on their end. They got to contact the people. They got to get the hotels. They got to do blah, blah, blah. So it's ranked higher than a regular best ball contest, which just the computer runs and doesn't require a lot of hands-on skills. But they're pretty quick. They're only 6-man drafts. 1 running back, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 quarterback, 1 flex. I would think through how you think the field is constructing their teams. Do you think the field is doing more 3 wide receiver, 1 running back? Do you think the field is doing more 2 running back, 2 wide receiver? Do you think 2 tight end is viable in any given week? So you have to come first through third out of 13K each week to win. Basically, yeah, Tolan. I mean, you don't have to. You get like, I think you get like $100 or something if you finish fourth, which again, all of your ROI is finishing at the top in this. Which, I don't know, for week 1 Battle Royale, if you win it, it's 20K. If you win this, you get 10K minimum with a shot at 200K. So, different strokes for different folks. Yeah, and even if there's overlay already, keep in mind that this is like a winner-take-all basically thing. So it's like, yeah, it's overlay. It's easier to win, but it doesn't help your ROI that much unless you're finishing first through third. I don't know what's up with the Mark Andrews injury, but we're just going to take the ADP discount. And like already, I'm getting a little unique here where Andrews at pick 15, four spots after. So not super unique, but a little bit. This stream's going to be short, guys. I think I'm going to finish with this one and then touch some grass today. Again, I was under the weather the past couple days. So just wanted a real quick recap. I don't know. I got some companies contacting me trying to set up my in-season schedule. So if you haven't already, please subscribe. We are on the road to 5K. Let me pull up my YouTube, see where we're at. I think 3090. Oh, 3100. Shout out everyone who's in here. We crossed the 3100 barrier. Only 2,900 more. No, sorry, 1,900 more to get to 5K. I think that we could do that. We could do that in an NFL season, maybe sooner. Ramondre missed practice. Ooh. Yeah, there was some I forget who else. Oh, Ken Walker, groin injury. Good morning, Ron. What's going on, man? Ken Walker, groin injury. Unknown if that's a new injury or what, but I mean, Zach Charbonnet could be a wheels up play against this Rams team if so. I might do a week 1 DFS walkthrough. I might not. Maybe I'll just save it for future years. Where can you see leaderboards for free in season? You have to come on my show every Tuesday to see. It's the only way. No, I'm kidding. If you go into live best ball and you go into Best Ball Mania 4, it's very obvious how to do this on the app. It might not be available on desktop yet, which is a little problematic for my show, but I'm sure there's a link on their site too. I'll pull it up in a second here. What's going on here? Not getting buried at wideout, pretty important. So we'll take T. Higgins here. All right, so I just Googled Underdog Fantasy Leaderboard. No, we don't want that. That's Best Ball Mania 3. They have a different site. This is their underdognetwork.com. I'll hit up Hayden and see how to view it on desktop. It's clearly viewable on desktop because it like links you to a site to see. Underdog Fantasy Leaderboard. I don't know. On mobile app, it's very easy to see. But I don't know how to do it on desktop yet. No, because I assume it's new, Michael. But we'll try that. I think that's just something they had to do last year to get something up and running. Hey, actually, you're right. It did work. All right. So this worked. My top team, this only shows the top 10,000 because remember, the top 10,000 teams in Best Ball Mania 4 get $250. First place, $500K. 10th place, $20K. Second, $200K. A thousandth, $1,000. So my top team is in 334th right now. Obviously, these are pretty meaningless numbers right here, but not impossible. I have a team near the top after week 1, depending on who has huge games. Shout out, Michael. I'll post that link in the chat for you guys if you want to check out your teams. And if your team's not coming up, this happened to me before, it means you don't have a team in the top 10,000. Young Toll got 3 teams in there right now. Am I going to try Superflex contests on DK? Probably not, Dylan. Eliminator is going to be a fun set during the season. Yeah, man, for sure. All right, what's going on here? All right, whatever. We'll take Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper is a game stack against Cleveland. Hey, Liam, would it be okay to drop Sky Moore for Zay Jones in my managed? It's a tough one, Long Boy Frank. I would say, do you need Sky or Zay to start in your team? Because Zay has more contingent upside to me. If something were to happen to Ridley or Kirk or Ingram, like Zay is actually, we know, is at least good at football. Sky might be better if, Sky played a ton of routes yesterday. So like that makes me want to hold on to him and managed. He's not startable at all. And again, with the 7 wide receiver rotation for the Chiefs, seems like you're never going to know when to start anyone there. So yeah, I don't think that's a bad move to make, honestly. But just understand that you might feel bad if Sky has some great games. And you might want to wait to see what happened to Kelsey. Run Good Rick saying, it seems like double stacking in the weekly contest is drawing dead to winning Battle Royales. Yeah, so Run Good, I would say on that mindset, agree and disagree. Obviously, it's harder to win if you do 2 double stacks because you need both guys to get a lot of yards and touchdowns. Now, it is possible for that to happen, right? T. Higgins can have 100 yards and a touchdown. Chase can have 150 and 2 touchdowns. Boom. Both are, boom. Now you can win. I would say, I'm playing Tolan in the home league. Checkmate, Tolan. I would also say, Run Good Rick, that the field is probably not double stacking as much as others. So if the field's not doing it and all you need to do is win anyways, and we know it is possible, it makes me tempted to do it sometimes. But yeah, I wouldn't be doing it a ton. It's not the pure nut ceiling, which you kind of do and you kind of don't with 13,000 entrants. Yeah, like Rod said here, a Burrow, Boyd, Chase lineup won once. Like the years with Jameis, and so I don't really love Deshaun, but we're going to take him to stack with Amari Cooper, obviously. So this team seems like very solid, chalky. Giving me Amari Cooper 10 picks past ADP, 2 stack with the T. Higgins bring back, and Deshaun 20 picks past ADP. The 101 of tight ends, probably an elite running back. Like a huge tier break for me personally after CMC, Eckler, and Bijan at running back. You see Lurch here taking Zach Charbonnet, trying to get ahead of the Ken Walker ruled out news. Charbonnet will end up a lot more chalk. Or Charbonnet will not get drafted that much because it's an afternoon game and Walker wouldn't be ruled out until then. So I had already built some DFS lineups with Zach Charbonnet, so I'm not thrilled if Ken Walker gets ruled out. Run Good Rick talking about a regular Battle Royale 6-person pot seems too boring. I guess you need to scroll super down and get creative. Yeah, you just need to think through ways to get unique. You know, like something I would do in a 6-person pod is try to take 2, 3, 4 turn guys at like the 1-2 turn, something like that, you know. All right, gang. Well, I'm going to get to this last pick and end the stream for now. Might be back later tonight with a night stream, but, you know, I got things to do today. Thanks for watching, everybody, for the recaps. Make sure to tune in Tuesday night. Gonna nail down a guest for that game. Would love if these guys made these picks. Appreciate you, Run Good Rick. Cool name too, and I like your cat and a kiwi. This guy seems like he's auto drafting. Rugby World Cup starts today. That sounds fun, man. I've been watching I was the tennis captain at my high school, so I've been watching the U.S. Open. That's been fun. But I'm gonna watch that. What's that on, Tolan? I played rugby in college. For those who don't know, I used to be real fast. Now, I spent a semester in New Zealand, so I know the Kiwis. All right. Let's do the Damian Pierce. Let's correlate this whole thing up. Pierce to Andrews, Higgins, Cooper, Deshaun, Bijan. A little bit low ownership on these guys. And that's it. All right, gang. Thanks for guys tuning in. Tuesday night at the latest, I'll be back. Might have some videos for you tonight or this weekend looking at the DFS slate. Got some work to do on my end. Have a great day. Peace.